What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tapping into another episode of the Mindful Moneymakers podcast, where we break down all the tips, tricks, and mindset shifts you need to make if you want to live a life by design instead of by default. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with another powerhouse, a powerful spirit that is guiding you to your designer lifestyle. Today, we're talking with a life balance coach and the CEO of Profitable Productivity LLC. Trasetta Washington partners with women executives and business owners to help them have it all without sacrificing what matters most. She shares strategies to embrace self care as a way to optimize efficiency through trainings, workshops, and speaking, as well as group and one on one coaching. Trasetta has over 25 years of experience working in business operations, management, creating systems and processes, and increasing individual productivity. After working for years, 55 plus hours a week, mind you, she took a leap of faith to build a life and career that complemented each other rather than competed with one another. She is on a mission to help other successful women create the same thing through what she calls hashtag balanced ambition. Trasetta is an engaging speaker and training, empowering attendees to move beyond simply hearing into implementing to experience the change they seek. And in 2019, Trasetta received the Distinguished Alumni Award from her alma mater, Thomas University, from which she holds a bachelor's degree in social work. Trasetta is the proud parent of her adult daughter, Alexia, a breast cancer survivor, mentor to girls, and respected leader. Trasetta is committed to showing others how to implement small daily actions to achieve their greatest dreams. Today, we're talking with Trasetta Washington, and I'm so excited that you decided to spend some time with us. Thank you so much. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. Definitely a pleasure to be here.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So the introduction that I gave for you was pretty impressive, but I want to give you an opportunity to kind of put your own flavor on it. Could you tell us a little bit about how you got started, where you are now, and what can we look forward to coming from?
Yeah, so stepping into being a life balance coach was definitely a journey. It started because I was a single parent for a really long time, and I worked full time. I was a non-traditional student, so I went to school full time. I volunteered in the community. I was active in my daughter's life. I was active in my church. I did all the things, and people kept asking me, "How in the world are you able to get so much done?" And so I started sharing with them the strategies that I use to be able to, you know, get all that stuff done without going crazy. And as more and more people started asking me, I was like, I don't have time to go through this step by step with every single individual that asked me. So I was like, well, I'll start with a blog. So I started doing blogging and sharing things. And then as that started to grow, I stepped into coaching and sharing, mainly training. I started with doing workshops, and it just kind of grew and evolved from there. I started as a productivity coach and then dabbled in some business coaching, and then went full circle back to productivity coaching. And then about 7, 8 months ago, I pivoted into life balance because I found that my clients were coming to me because they felt like they needed to manage their time better, but they were doing all the things that I would recommend them to do. They were just at max capacity. And so we really need to focus more on making some shifts and in their schedules and delegating some things out, releasing some things so that they can have a little bit more balance. And so that's kind of how I ended up here. And it's really a part of my own journey. Like you shared in my bio, working 55 plus hours a week was not working for me. And after about 5, 6 years of doing that, I was like, forget this. I need to do something different. And so I'm able to share because it's not been that long ago. And so I'm able to share from kind of my own perspective of being in that kind of space and knowing what that feels like. And now being on the other side of that, living a life of freedom and joy and fulfillment. So I get to, showcase what life can really be like, that you can be successful without burning the midnight oil and burning yourself out.
That's dope. That's dope. That's fire. And I think truly powerful to, realize that being able to juggle multiple things and being on top of things and not letting things fall to the wayside, I mean, especially when they're important, when they're aligned with your dream life and, who you identify with, it's
Yeah.
important to be able to manage that. And it's also super challenging, right? Is this something that you were always just good at, or was there some challenges you kind of had to work out of your systems before you could be the balance coach that you are today?
Well, I feel like uh, organization is something that has come natural to me. Now, like everyone else, I have clutter, like everyone, but there's certain things where, certain areas where when it comes to organization that I just really excel at naturally. And then I'm always looking for ways to make things easier. Just in my personal life, I'm like, there's got to be a way to make this easier. If I can shave some time off of something and not lose the quality, I'm going to find a way to do that. And so it's just something that really has come natural. But then I also cultivate that. Once I started realizing that that's a gift, a skill, or a talent that I have, I really started to cultivate that by reading books and studying what other people do, what other successful people do in order to manage their time better and to manage their priorities better, to 10x their efforts so that you can, you know, so I can have more time for myself to do the things that I want to do.
Absolutely. I think that there's something magical about finding the things that you're kind of naturally good at, but other people are challenged by, and being able to show up in service with that, that passion, that innate ability, right? And I think that a lot of people listening right now, they kind of know, they have an inkling that there's something that they're really good at, right? But they're afraid, they're hesitant and resistant to taking that step and entering into the marketplace with a product or service attached to, their innate abilities. Could you tell me a little bit about your experience with knowing that, yes, I'm very good at time management and organization and being efficient. I'm having a lot of people asking, like, there's a demand for this information, for tips, tricks, and strategies, right? But you were working in your 9 to 5, right? And you decided to start doing blogs. What was that like to say, like, I was born, I guess essentially I was born with something that is valuable, and I'm allow this thing to start making a way for me as a business, financially and things of that sort. What was that like for you?
It was a little bit of a little bit of a challenge. It's exciting at the prospect of it, but simply being talented at something, being gifted at something is not enough to be successful in business. There's all kinds of things that you really have to you have to know how to market, you have to know how to package, you have to know how to get your messaging right. You have to, you know, you have to know how to set up sales pages and landing pages and CRMs and all the things that go along with running a business. And those, a lot of those things I didn't know, and it can be a little bit intimidating. We kind of feel like if I build it, they will come, right? So you built, like, okay, I'm gonna have this offering and I'm gonna just put it out there on social media and the floodgates are gonna come open. And then when that doesn't happen, you kind of get your ego gets a little bit bruised. And so there's a lot of um, there can be a lot of challenges, or I should say, I know I'm not alone because I'm, connected to a ton of other entrepreneurs, but there can be a lot of mindset stuff that you have to work through in order to continue to show up. And then you also have to deal with the fact that sometimes you start to second guess yourself.
Mm.
I start second guessing myself because I feel like because it's natural for me that and it's easy for me that what I have to say or what I have to share isn't all that valuable. Because like, oh, well, it's second nature to me. And we tend to think that other people, it's easy for them as well. Plus, we get tired of saying the same things over and over again. And we think that, oh, well, they've heard that already. Well, not everyone has heard it. And not everyone knows who you are. Not everyone has heard of you. So there's a ton of mindset works that goes into that. There's a ton of balancing that you have to do when you're trying to work a full-time job and start a side hustle to, and build a business that can grow to the place where it can sustain you financially, and, where you're still passionate about it, as opposed to, just replacing one job for another job, because that's another kind of pitfall that entrepreneurs tend to fall in. So it's been a wild ride.
Feel it. I feel it. So what I'm hearing is that maybe identifying that you have something to offer that could be valuable, right? Might be the first step, but that's only the step that's going to open you up to all of the other areas that you get to develop in becoming an entrepreneur. I know that when I started, becoming an entrepreneur, I feel like I could have, should have, would have known better, but I approached it like it was a job, right? I guess I didn't have anything else to compare it to. I thought that I was just gonna show up, clock in, do the stuff, clock out, go home. That's it. But what I learned was there's a transformation of who you are, an identity that you get to become as an entrepreneur. Like I learned specifically, I heard that positive thinking was important. And then I got into entrepreneurship and I realized that positive thinking isn't good enough. You know, what I would do is when I had that mindset, I would put it in my tool belt and I would wait for things to get super negative. And I was like, okay, now's the time. Think positive, think positive, think positive. And it was always too little, too late. So after dissolving my first business and I wanted to reapproach entrepreneurship, I knew that positive thinking wasn't going to be enough. I needed to become positive, right? I need to head to toe, inside and out. And I think that's the mindset work that you had mentioned. And it's super important. I don't think that you can have a conversation about becoming an entrepreneur without shifting, your mindset.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
So
absolutely. I believe that success in business is 80% mindset and only 20% strategy, tactics, and all the other things. It really is about you developing and growing as a person, as an individual, because you will be tested at every single turn. And I've been now in business for 5.5 years, and the person that's sitting here today is a completely different person who then, filed that paperwork initially, 5.5 years ago. I'm on, they're affectionately calling me Trasetta 2.0, and I'm working on Trasetta 3.0 right now, because you do go through a lot of transformation if you stick with it. Because a lot of people give up. They think that it's about this tactic. They think, if I just get the right tactic, if I just get the right sales page, or if I just get the right product, or whatever the right thing is that in their mind, then everything's going to be great. But you still show up. You still show up in the business, and there's all kinds of insecurities. There's all kinds of limiting beliefs that you have. The exchange of money is very energetic. And if you have some money mindset, the issues, then those are going to show up unconsciously as you go to make your offers, and it's going to either attract or repel the very thing that you want. So yeah, it's tons of mindset stuff is the short answer.
Yes, indeed. Mostly mindset. Gotta look at who you're being, who you're showing, and importantly, why you're doing what you're doing. I think that might be the key, or the key difference between somebody that starts but doesn't follow through, and somebody that has a why that's so much grander than they are, to where it just doesn't sit right in their stomach with giving up. I mean, pivoting is one thing, and it's very important to pivot when you need to, but giving up altogether is something that I think somebody with a tremendously large why just doesn't fit right with their system. So when it comes to being balanced and as efficient as you are, what would you say are some of the keys to locking in and getting the most out of the balance coach?
Yeah, the biggest thing is the first thing that I work on with my clients is figuring out what they want. A lot of times, we just we have this grandiose idea that, I want to go into business and, I'm going to go make a lot of money, and that's not enough. Unless you're just a person who's very money motivated. But most people who go into entrepreneurship want to help people. They start because they want to help people. And the money, yes, they want to make money, but that's kind of that's secondary to the impact that they have in the lives of other people. And so I really help them to figure out, what is it that you want? And then let's prioritize the things that you want, put those on your schedule first, and then fill in the gaps with everything else. Because what we tend to do is try to fit what we want into our already busy and jam-packed schedule. And then we get frustrated because we just can't seem to find the time. But if you reverse engineer that and put the things that are most important on your schedule first, then there's always going to be time. There's always going to be room for the other things that you have to get done, or just need to get done, or even maybe want to get done, but just aren't as high on your priority list as other things.
Definitely. So working through the keys that you do offer, right? And the steps that you take your clients through, what would you say is like to work with you?
I believe that productivity is personal. And so what I try to do is provide my clients with a myriad of tools to put into their toolbox. And I teach them to try out the various tools when they're working on different projects, to try out this particular thing, see how it works for you. And as you use the different tools, you'll start to learn which ones work for you, which ones which ones work in certain situations and which ones don't. And so I really kind of hold their hand through the process, and we, help them to create a framework for their time, and then hold them gently accountable to doing the things that they say they want to do. And then when they get stuck, we work together to figure out how we can move out of that place of feeling stuck. And first, we got to figure out why they're stuck, what the motivation behind the stuckness is, and then we can figure out how do we move past that. So it's a very personalized experience. Even when I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, but even inside of my group coaching programs, there's still a lot of one-on-one support, where I'll do a training, and then you have opportunity to share kind of what your challenges are, or where you're feeling stuck, or what you don't understand, and then I get dive deep and help you kind of overcome the things your specific situation, because there is no one size fits all approach to being your most productive self. And so I try to, no matter how I'm working with a client, I try to give that personal touch to each individual person, so that they walk away feeling like they got the most out of their time with me.
Oof, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I know that we're sold. I know that somebody is right now itching to get started, that wants to have a conversation with you. Will you let us know, Trasetta, how can we get in contact with you?
Well, if you want to get on my calendar, you can go to chatwithtrasetta.com, and that'll take you to a direct link to my calendar. We can have a quick 30-minute free discovery call conversation, and we can talk about the options for us to work together. If you just want to connect with me on social, because I do share a lot of valuable tips, tools, strategies, hacks, all the things. The best places to find me are on LinkedIn, and I'm Trasetta Washington on LinkedIn, or my private Facebook community, which is called #Balanced Ambition, time management for women entrepreneurs, or women executives and entrepreneurs. So, but the easy way to find my Facebook group is just go to jointrasetta.com. So those are the two places where I hang out the most, and I do weekly articles on LinkedIn. I do weekly live stream trainings inside my Facebook group, and sometimes I'll do bonus trainings, bring in my super friends to do different trainings and whatnot. So I'm all about adding value. My background's in social work, so I'm all about adding value and supporting people and meeting people where they are. And so that's those are the two best places to hang out with me.
Super beautiful. Now, everybody listening right now, run, don't walk to the description down below. All the links are there. It sounds like it's jam-packed and overflowing with value. So whether or not a long-term relationship is or isn't aligned for you right now, it sounds like you're going to get a ton of free value off the bat that's going to make your life better, easier, more efficient, more organized, more productive. And that's all coming directly from the heart of Trasetta right now. And I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to talk. The things that you were saying are super impactful, super helpful. And I know that just from listening to this one conversation, so many people are going to walk away with things that they're going to be able to implement and start at least to start seeing things differently, right? So many different things could change in a major way just by how you look at things. I believe that when you change how you look at things, the things you look at begin to change, right? So
I love that.
yes, I'm super grateful that you came by to share your perspective, share your resources, being a resource, showing up as a resource. And before I let you go, Trasetta, I got one more question for you.
Sure.
Right. The question is, what can anybody listening right now do? Just a small baby step. What can they do to start living a little bit more by design instead of by default?
The number one thing that I would say is to take the time to establish some priorities. If I have a motto that if everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. So choose 1 to 3 things, no more than 3 things, to focus on for the next 90 days to create some momentum in your life. And then at the end of the 90 days, reevaluate what your priorities are, because opportunities arise, life circumstances change. Your priorities may need to shift to match your life season that you're in. So just figure out what those top 3 priorities are and focus solely on those for 90 days and then reevaluate.
I'm taking that one with me. We try to do everything. We want to be everything to everybody, and we get nowhere fast. Thank you so much for that. Thanks for talking to us. I'm gonna let you. Good. Thank you.
No, thank you.
I appreciate you, and to everybody listening right now, as always, love, be well, and don't forget to have the guts to follow your guts. Peace.